All right, everyone here. My name is Ryan Logan. I actually was in the Skill Bridge program until November of last year, or excuse me, October of last year. I am currently a real estate agent in California. I've been doing this for over a year now. I actually did real estate before I got into the Skill Bridge program. After that, I've sold, I believe I've done 6 transactions since leaving Skill Bridge in October. So that kind of gives you a feel a little bit about what I know. Other than that, I am an entrepreneur as well. So I own a government contracting business. I also, sorry, there's a lot of people coming in all at the same time. So on top of that, I was a veteran in the Air Force for 10 years. I did EOD, so I was a bomb guy, for you all that don't know. And what I want to kick it off with today, while I'm still admitting everybody else, is see if we have any questions. Does anybody have any questions about real estate stuff that they would like to get answered? Whoever that is with the background noise, if you don't mind muting the mic.
No.
I may have, I can run out to the car. The military moved me to this location. Am I able to, if it's a document stating the address that they're moving me to?
I'm sorry, one second. Let me figure out who this is.
Maybe. If you want to go grab it.
Here, I'm gonna mute everybody. Here we go. Can you hear me now? All right, you can unmute yourself and ask your question again.
Well, I have a question. Hi,
Hey.
my name is Jenny Adib. How are you?
Doing well.
I just want to know, you say you're in San Diego, so what part in San Diego are you?
Oh,
Sorry, California.
Yeah, so I'm actually on the central coast of California. So I live near Santa Barbara.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. How long were you in the military?
10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Nice to meet you.
Likewise. So, anybody have any real estate specific questions here, as far as like markets, like anything that they're interested in? I have a slideshow for you all. It'll probably be a little bit boring, so it might be a little bit better if we all ask a few questions here. I think we could learn a little bit more that way.
What's the most difficult thing you've ran into so far with your 6 transactions, like to overcome, and how did you get through that?
Well, first things first, I think the most difficult thing you all are going to experience is going to be getting those transactions in the first place. So you'll see in the chat box, I dropped a list of scripts. These are essential. I mean, you have to learn how to talk to people in order to make any of these work. I mean, even if it's like a Zillow lead that's coming straight to you that, they intended to work with you originally, you still have to be able to have those conversations and kind of bounce back on the principles of conversation, keeping it straight and oriented to the point, making sure you're getting all their questions answered, making sure that you're communicating to them in an effective manner. Apart from that, other than the communication, I think the biggest thing, and you all can take this away, is learn your paperwork. You need to know what forms do what. You also need to know the intricacies of how to save your clients money, right? Because that's what they're paying you for. So if you're out there, and you don't know what a pest inspection is or how that looks on the transaction documents, then you need to go learn those things. So typically, like if you have somebody with a VA loan with like lower money, I would try to get most of their stuff paid for and not really negotiate outside of that, because sometimes those things can be a lot more expensive than you think they would be. Any more questions?
With that and the learning how to the scripts and your documents and everything, do you feel like that's one of the things that you learn from experiencing it, or is there some type of like online training that you get acquainted with everything like that first?
So you all will see if you go into EXP World, if you go into your state broker rooms, can I get a show of hands of everybody that knows how to get there? Okay, it looks like most people know how to get to the state broker room. So in the state broker room, you'll see a list of classes. Transactions are actually one of those classes, and they'll break down the transaction paperwork for you. Another thing you can do is just read it. For the most part, it's plain English. And if you have any questions, you can definitely YouTube the answers to your question. And you can also Google search as well. The real estate paperwork changes very often, at least in my experience. So it is important to stay on top of it. Just because you know it now doesn't mean that you're going to know it when it changes in December. So. Any more questions? Who we got? Anybody here done cold calling at all? No, nobody. Has anybody tried? Have you practiced scripts? Yeah. So what I want to do is I actually want to, let's pull up that document that you see in the chat box. And we're going to scroll down to a certain page. I'm going to give everybody a moment to pull it up from the chat box.
Maybe I'm not looking in the right place, but I don't. Okay, yeah, I don't see anything in there.
You don't see it in the chat
The
box?
old one.
Okay. Let me try to repost it then. Here we go. Let's see if this works. If it doesn't work, we'll go with strategy number 2 here. Is it pulling up for everybody? Awesome. So what I want you to do is once you get that document open, let's scroll to page 6. And you'll see FSBO 1.0 script. So real quick, while everybody's scrolling to that, does anybody know why we prefer to talk to FSBOs and expireds? Anybody here? Unmute yourself if you know the answer.
I'll take a guess at it, but basically it comes down to for sale by owners, they don't already have a realtor, so that one gets us in the game. 2, they're trying to maximize their return. And although they might think they know what they're doing, the market plays in a different way. So we bring an expertise into it. So number 1, they don't have a realtor, so that's us. And number 2, they're trying to maximize their budget and we can bring value to that.
Exactly. And the amazing part about it is, you know, for a fact that they're in the market, right? Unlike every other type of lead source, it's always a guess. Yeah, I think you're exactly on it. They're in the market. They're trying to maximize their dollars. And we have a competitive edge when it comes to that, because even brand new agents are going to have a little bit of a leg up as far as knowing the transaction details and paperwork. So what I want to do is I'm going to have everybody on here. I know generally they do breakout groups, but I'm going to kind of go through some people, and then we're going to practice this FSBO script. What you'll see in this script is more of a reverse selling technique. You'll see, so first things first, you introduce yourself. You say that, hey, I'm a local realtor. And in this script right here, he's more or less asking for permission to have a conversation, which is something I think is pretty important when we're talking to people on the phone. Again, we talked about this earlier. This is the hardest part, right? Asking for that conversation, you're allowing the other person to kind of guide where they want to go with that. Don't take it personal if they don't want to talk, but if they do want to talk, you know, you're getting more credibility as time goes on. So the third line, he says, oh, okay, great. I'm calling about the address. That's one thing I'll tell you all whenever you're talking to somebody, definitely never mess up the address. If you need to look at it right before you say that line, look over, glance, make sure you know what address it is. And then you're going to acknowledge what's true. Hey, I see you're selling for sale by owner. You don't want to ask any crazy questions here because generally, they're going to point you back to Zillow, right? So like if you say, hey, like, what's it going for? What's the price on that? They're going to say, hey, have you not seen my listing on Zillow? I've posted it there. So you tend to avoid that in these conversations. So you just say, hey, I know you're selling for sale by owner. I absolutely respect that. I think it's a smart idea in this market, regardless of what other realtors may say. So you're acknowledging and trying to build them up, and then you're going to hit them with the undercut here. So I'm curious if you're open to the idea of a realtor bringing a potential buyer for a home. That's a normal in just about every script. And then here they're going to say, hey, they're going to say yes, more than likely, because the best way to ask that question is, like, are you interested in this or not? And if you give somebody a or not statement, generally the answer that's going to come right after that is going to be a yes. And then you say, perfect. I was planning to preview some homes like yours this week before going to work. I'm hoping to see yours as well. Will you be home tomorrow between whatever time works for you? And just show me the home. The reason being here, and if they ask like, why do you want to see it, is because you've never seen their home before. So how could you pitch it to any of your buyers, right? It's good to get in there. It's a good face-to-face meeting. And then that might give you the opportunity to, send over your resume, AKA your listing presentation, so they can watch it and kind of know what you're about before they even meet you. They say, great, I plan on seeing you around whatever time tomorrow, and have a great day. You want to keep these calls quick, right? So you're in there, and if they come up with any objections, more or less, you want to acknowledge it. So you want to acknowledge it and kind of press back towards your script. So what we want to do is we're going to role play this real quick. I can go first if you'd like. And if I can get somebody to play the happy customer, and we'll all do this in front of each other, and we'll kind of take turns here and pick out different people. So don't get nervous. It's all learning. I'm sure that I'm probably going to mess up as well. But can I get somebody to play the consumer here?
I'll do it.
Okay, awesome. Who's that? Benjamin?
Yes.
Ring, ring, ring. Hi, Benjamin.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. My name is Ryan. I'm a local realtor. I'm not sure if now is the right time to talk or not, but I was curious to tell you why I was calling, and then you can decide whether we can continue talking or not. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm calling about your home on 123 Banana Street, and I understand you're selling it for sale by owner. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, okay. So I absolutely respect that. I think it's a smart idea in this market, like regardless of what other realtors are going to say. But I'm curious if you're open to the idea of a realtor bringing a potential buyer for your home.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah. So I'm planning on previewing some homes this week. I'm curious if I can stop by sometime today or tomorrow, and maybe you can show me around the home. To be fair, I just want to, get a quick preview so I can inform my buyers to see if they would be interested or not.
I'd be available tomorrow around 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, I think that works for me. I plan on seeing that home around that time, so that's great. I'll send you an email if that's possible. Can I get your email address?
Yes, it's 123 Romero Ben at gmail.com.
Okay, I'm gonna repeat it back to you. Just make sure I got the right address. 123 Ben Romero at gmail.com.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. What I'm gonna do after this is I'll send you a quick follow-up email reminding you that we're gonna meet tomorrow at 3 p.m. And I also send you my resumes just so you know who I am. Maybe you can look through it and tell me what you think tomorrow. Does that sound good?
Yes, that sounds good.
All right. See you later. Have a great day.
See ya. Thank you.
Awesome. So comments on that? Anybody have comments? Negative, positive, doesn't matter. No one? Quiet crowd today? Does anything seem awkward to you all?
It
So,
feels really
how much
awkward.
do you, go ahead, Ben.
Say that, Ben,
It felt really awkward.
for you?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I think it's just practicing in general is awkward, but
did it feel awkward for your side as far as being the customer, or did you feel like that I was being awkward?
no, I don't think the situation was awkward. It was just the practicing, like thinking about it in the back of my head, like, oh, this isn't real, made it feel awkward.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a little bit different when you're looking at the person as well, like, because when you pick up that phone and you're not able to like see the other person on the other side or gauge their reactions, it definitely brings a lot more nervousness to the situation. Anybody else?
I do have something.
Go ahead.
So you're saying are you bringing by the script, are you bringing buyers to the home, or are you just wanting to see and then trying to get them to list with you?
So I never promised to bring anybody by the home other than myself because of the fact that when you show up and
Mhm,
there's nobody with you, that's going to be the first thing they're going to say is like, where are your buyers? Like,
Mhm.
no, I want to preview your home to see if it's a fit for my buyers. I want to preview your home to see if it would be a fit for my marketing program. I want to preview your home to see if it's really how it looks on Zillow, so I'm previewing it in essence before showing it to anybody else. Like, I would like to help you, but I got to see it first. And that's your way in the door, because you want to have conversations in person. All these phone scripts
mhm.
are just to get conversations in person.
Okay, so when you're having these conversations, or when you go to see them in person, that's when you're trying to convert them to list with you? Is this the whole point of doing?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Okay, because I saw another script on YouTube where she was telling them I have out of state buyers. And then when she would go show up in person, like she would just try to convince them to list with her. So do you think that's a good strategy? Because I don't like I don't like people lying to me. So I wouldn't want to do that to nobody else.
So the bait and switch, that's what they call that. Bait and switch, I don't think is a really great tactic. I think it's better to say, hey, because if you work for eXp Realty and you become express offer certified, you always have buyers that can buy certain homes. They won't buy every home. However, those homes have to meet certain criteria, right? So, but we do have a network of investors. If you are doing any kind of advertisement program where you're running into people from Zillow and stuff like that, you're also getting buyers. Like, you're always going to be able to contact buyers, but I would never say I'm bringing a specific buyer by unless that's exactly what I was doing. It's just better just to preview it, and while you're there, you can kind of show some of your services, have like a real conversation with them, because you're never gonna, no matter what I say over the phone, I'm never going to convince somebody to list with me just over the phone, right? Like, maybe some people can, but I know for a fact, like in my experience, that has never happened. So,
So from your
Usually-
experience using this script, how many listings have you gotten from this?
so using this script, I
Mhm.
actually have not used this script before. I
Okay.
thought it was a very great script, and that's why I brought it to you guys. I used a modified version of another script.
Mhm.
However, this checks all of the boxes.
Okay.
I always asked if it was okay to talk, which this script has. I've always said, hey, I plan on previewing the home, which this script has, because I know there's some scripts, and maybe you've seen them in here, where they
Mhm.
say the same thing like you saw in the YouTube video, where it's like, I'm working with buyers and they're willing to buy your home. And it's like, no, that's like, they might not be. Your home could be a dump for all I know, because I've never actually seen the inside of it, right? I've only seen the pictures on Zillow. So I think this script has everything that I have learned to do over this and implemented in here. As far as
Okay.
listing with,
Sorry, I have one more.
okay, go ahead. Is that you, Jenny?
I'm sorry. It
Okay.
was like bad connection. So after you use the script, how do you get them in person? Like, what do you do when you're actually right in front of them? Do you bring something? Like, what do you do?
Yep. So immediately after we hang up the phone, I send what quote unquote my resume, but it's my listing presentation. So I'll actually see if I can pull a copy of that up. But I send over my listing presentation. It has like a bio about me, kind of shows them what's going on, that I'm like a legitimate real estate person. And then after that, just a regular old appointment reminder. Once I get to the house, typically have them show you around, and then you can kind of, break out some of the features of the house, talk to that person, try to get to learn them, and then, maybe introduce the idea. Maybe you're not selling at that time, but you want to try to either get an appointment or get the listing at that point. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And then
Yes.
I'll show you what
Sorry,
a
I'm done.
presentation looks like. Anybody else with any questions?
So you mentioned about investors. This is the first I've heard about EXP having investors. Now,
Right.
for an investor to even know that a listing is out there, does it have to be within the EXP network, or is it say, hey, this listing is out there, you can bring it to the investors in that aspect? Because if I was going out to a house to take a look at it, that's something that I'd definitely bring up and say, okay, this is the added value I can bring, not only from the MLS side of things, but the fact that we have these investors, and the only way they're going to know about it is if it's in the EXP
Express office system. Yeah. So
is that how that works?
Yeah, so the program's called Express Offers, and they have particular categories of homes that they try to look at. So they'll say, hey, we're looking for a home between 300 and 1 million in California in this county. It needs no overhead power lines. It has to meet certain square footage requirements. It has to be at a certain value. So they typically look for homes that aren't on the market. So FSBOs would fit in that category. People that haven't hit market yet that you're listing with would also hit that category as well. So yes, in a way, by, looking at their home, and hopefully I'm answering your question here, by looking at their home, you can gauge whether or not it would be a fit for that program. Does that answer your question?
In part.
Okay.
So what I'm looking for is a tag or something to reel them in as incentive for me to be their realtor, right? So if I was to market to the investors that this is for sale by owner, do we collect the commission for the sale on that?
So no, if they're for selling it by owner and you bring a buyer to it, if that's what you're saying, like you would have to work with the buyer to get a commission either paid through them or negotiated with the FSBO that they would pay you a commission for that. But I would suggest against that. I would try to get a listing agreement of some sort, so that way you can make sure that your commission is solid, right? Because you're in essence listing the home for them, even if you're just bringing a buyer by. That's what I think. So I would try to get some sort of listing agreement with them done up. However, you can negotiate it. Sometimes the FSBOs will be okay with paying for the buyer's agent fee. Does that answer your question? Are you?
All right, I'm tracking.
Like, no? All right. What I'll also do is I'll share my listing presentation, and maybe this will kind of break it down a little bit better. So this is what I would email over. Can everyone see it? Yep. Okay. So obviously it has all the necessary information. Talks about breaking down listing appointments, answering questions. It has an about me here, so that's why it's really good with sending it to people who don't know you yet. I also do the NAEA videos. Do they still have those in the SkillBridge program? They do? Okay. Yeah, so this is why you should sell your home with an agent. So more or less answering your question, Josh, is as far as like what a real estate agent can do, how we can make you more money. And then they kind of brings up some questions about what to do with their property. Important topics. So this is the one that I like, because 58% of FSBOs never sell their property. If somebody's going through this, looking at this, Like they're gonna be like, whoa, like maybe I should consider working with a guy, especially somebody who knows what he's doing and seems not pushy, right? Because they're used to agents calling them all day long, pushing this stuff all down through them. So it's really nice for them to see like the actual stats, like what we actually see on the daily basis, like that 70% of property sales are going to be through agents who are working together in the MLS, things like that. So this right here, this whole listing slideshow, if you work for a group, they'll probably have one pre-done for you and you basically plug in your information. If you don't work for a group, you can find this stuff on the EXP marketing website as well. So if anybody's curious. Yeah, this basically breaks it apart. This is another thing you could, this is another thing you all may not have seen before. This is called the pricing pyramid. So in here, they talk about how to price your home and how many people are looking at it based off the price. So if your home is priced at 15% over market value, your property is going to appeal to 10% of the people out there looking. If you're 15% under, you're going to get more eyes on it, 90% more people, and you're probably going to inspire some sort of bidding war. You're going to have multiple offers on the property. And when you have multiple offers, generally those offers are called competing offers because somebody's going to be trying to one up the other person to get the house that they love. So something good to include into your PowerPoints. And then it goes over the marketing, which I break down my marketing plan. I do a tiered marketing plan. So based off of what they want, they get a different type of marketing. And then that's pretty much it. So I send that over, and that honestly does a lot of the talking for me beforehand. And I generally refer to that document while I'm there. If they're not looking at that document beforehand, checking you out, then, you're going to have to do a lot more talking, a lot more soothing of the lion, so to speak, and really just see what they're interested in. You might have to come back for a second or third appointment. Any questions so far? Anybody have any comments? I feel like I lost you, Josh. Did any of that answer your question?
I'm still with you, brother.
Yeah. So anything else? Any other real estate stuff for anybody? Do we want to practice the scripts? I got a few chats from everybody saying that they couldn't do it. Does anybody want to practice?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you ever show up to like, let's say, you're doing the cold calling and you find someone that wants to let you view their house? Do you ever show up and you decide, like, I don't want to view this, like this is a dump, like I don't even want to be a part of this?
Yep. So my very first FSBO I found the property on Zillow. I called them up. Everything worked perfectly. I'm like, great. Like, I'm pretty brand new into all of this. I'm going to get a listing. I show up at the property. First of all, the owners weren't there. The tenants were the ones showing me around. So I was like, hey, I'd rather have the owners here. The owners finally showed up and, they all walked me through it. Found out the foundation was cracked. The place had like termites. It was falling apart and they wanted like a lot of money for it comparatively to what it was worth. I mean, the structure itself was in such bad shape that they basically would have just only gotten the value of the land because that structure was about to fall over. So yeah, it does happen. And that they decided to go with somebody else after I turned it down, just because I didn't agree with the price that they were doing, and they were on the market for months and then just withdrew completely. So they never sold their property. So yeah, it does happen. And as a person who's, helping a client sell a property, you're making an investment with them, and, you have to pick and choose what you want to put your time, effort, and money into when it comes to marketing the property.
So how'd you go about like telling them, like in the most respectful way possible, like I don't want to be a part of this?
So what I would do honestly is say, it depends on your reasoning. So like in my scenario, I said, hey, I believe sorry, I just got a message here. Okay. Now it's Tasha putting our stuff out. So what I said to them is like, hey, I believe your property should be, based off of everything that I've seen, your property falls in this range. You know, if you continue to work with me, I would like to do this with you. Because I would be willing to have sold it in the reasonable price range. However, they were disagreeing with that. And I said, oh, that's perfectly fine. You know, if you need help with me in the future or you have trouble finding another agent, let me know. If it was something that I just absolutely didn't want to work with because I thought the people were bad or whatever, like I would just say, hey, I don't think I'm the right fit for you. You know, I can help you find another agent if you'd like, but this is not something that I would be willing to do. I mean, it'd just be straightforward and honest with that. Does that answer your question? Yeah, it's not very
Yes, it does.
yeah, it's not very you don't have to be slight about anything. People like clear, open communication. So whatever your reasoning is, because I mean, it'd be really hard to. Do you have a particular scenario in mind? It's really hard to do that generally.
No, I'm pretty sure you hit the nail on the head. I was just like kind of thinking of like the worst possible situation.
Right. Yeah, like if they don't accept your commission, right? So like say they want to sell the home for 2% commission and you're selling a $400,000 home and you're just like, that's unreasonable. I can't do that. Like you just have to stand on your ground and say, hey, you know, I wouldn't say it's about the money, but I would say, you know, these are my products and services. Like if you would like to continue forward in this manner, we can definitely work together. But if you decide that this isn't going to work for you, then feel free to explore other options. I'll be here if you need me in the future. So. Anyone else? I know this is kind of impromptu. I know it's a little bit unorganized. I kind of got notice of this a little bit short, but hopefully you all have learned something from it. Any more questions before we go? No? Tough crowd. All right, well, if you all don't have anything else, that's all I have for you today. Again, Zohar should be back with you next week. Definitely appreciate you all for showing up. Hopefully, you get some benefit from that script book that I put down there. Try it out on your own, see if it works. You know, call some of those FSBO numbers and Zillow and see if it actually works out for you. If not, try something different. There's something different out there for everyone. I just seem to have found this recently, and I think it works really well for the style of person that I am. So other than that, you all take care. Have a great day. And it was nice meeting you all.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.